tell us a little bit about the artists and what they're doing music-wise and what's coming up in the future for you as well?
Sure, yeah. The artists that were involved in Homiesapiens were Gina Ferreira, Brandon Shockley, that's his last name, Shockley, and Nezi Antakli, and myself. And Gina has her own project. She's an amazing Jeel player, which is a balafon from West Africa. And she has her own fusion project that she's working on, and I work with her as well, called Polysonic. My project is called Leana Song. It's Afro-Cuban ensemble that has about 10 to 12 members in it sometimes. And we take old traditional Afro-Cuban music and make it fresh and make it new arrangements. Brandon, I'm not really sure what Brandon's got on deck.
Brandon's the man. He's a freelance guitarist, and he's a Philadelphian. He studied in L.A. He's back, and he's just trying to make it happen. He's a brilliant guitarist.
Nezi is a percussionist from Germany, but his family is Turkish. He works with West Philly Orchestra, which is a fantastic band from Philly, playing Eastern European music. And we're Americans mostly that fell in love with world culture, world music, and world dance, and we want to push. I feel like being part of this project, and I put it out in my Facebook or whatever, my update. I was like, come to this show, because I've never felt I've never been part of a production where I felt like my artistry has been so it has been used in such a broad form, or almost to its fullest potential.
That's
I felt like it's a great feeling to work in a project like that, where I can use everything that I've learned and my experiences to express exactly what needs to happen, express exactly what Vince's vision is. And this is a very rare occurrence. I haven't worked with many people, and it's been an honor working with you, Vince.
It's been an honor working with all of you. I mean, for me, it's important to emphasize that none of this gets done without the people who you have with you, your collaborators. They really, the people I'm so privileged to have such a talented cast and supporters, and between Shawn and the rest of the musicians, we also had John, who sound design, and John is a dancer as well. And John and I have worked. I've been making work for, I don't know, maybe the past 5 to 6 years, and my first creative project, I used John as a composer. So I've always worked with original music, and John's always been a collaborator with me. Zach, the lighting designer, also a dancer. A lot of the people in the show have experience in multiple different crafts, and they bring and really what I love about this, not to kind of take responsibility for myself, but what I love that I'm able to do is I can ask Shawn, this is my vision. Now, what can you do with it? And then Zach was so brilliant. He, I let him go, and he saw the piece, and he was inspired, delighted in a specific way. I didn't have to sit up there and be like, Zach, do this, do that, do that. He brought the piece to life. It wasn't just me. John, I would give him some ideas of what the feeling that I was looking for, and he would compose something beautifully, and the same with Shawn, excuse me. And the dancers were amazing as well,
So it's kind of like a big artistic melting pot, so to speak.
It is. It is. And to me, that's
but you always need a leader. There always needs to be a big vision. And Vince's vision, I've worked with him for 2 months preparing this music and dance, and I didn't realize how big his vision was until the first night of the show. And I was like, wow, this dude had something else in mind the whole time. And that's what's great. You always need a leader, even if you have a collaborative. Because with Leana Song, I have a band with 12 people in it, and I'm the leader. But you need to collaborate, but there has to be a vision
to provide direction.
Absolutely.
You might not have realized the vision, but in the rehearsal process, I would never have known that was true, and that's what's so awesome.
Right.
I had a sense of where things were going, and I knew I would do things, and I would go for things in the room in the studio, and it would go over people's heads, and I would even go over my heads. I was very insecure, and unsure of some of the things, because I think that's part of being a creator, or you go through, it's not like you go through moments of being completely sure and and confident about your work. I would love to meet somebody who is, and talk about their experience. But that's what's so great, is that there was such a support system, because there's nothing better than trying something out, and then the only way that you can see if it works is if the people who you're trying it with commit to it. They don't go in halfway; they go all the way. You know what I mean? Because I'm an extremist, and if I go there, I need everyone to go with me. And if I fall, I want us to, well, if we're falling, we're going to try to build ourselves up together. So I mean, that's what really made, the show's called Homiesapiens, and for me, there's not a better thing that it could be called. There's nothing more appropriate than Homiesapiens, because it represents the essence that we had together, and then also I just think it represents something larger. That's how the world functions. It functions based on unity and people coming together, and even if their visions are disparate, they're able to find some sort of connection and move in a common direction.
And at the end of the day, still be homies.
Still be homies. We're always going to be homies. So. We're always going to be homies.
I thought it was perfectly titled. Put it on me.
Homies. You're my homie.
Hey. Well, I thought it was a wonderful production. I was so glad to be able to sit in the audience in the last night, to be a part of it.
How'd you like Miss Betty?
The only issue I had was Miss Betty.
Talk to me about Miss Betty.
She kept looking me over when I was trying to win a prize. And so our little prize was left. So I was a little upset about that.
Miss Betty she tries to make everybody happy. She does play favorites.
She does play favorites.
She plays favorites.
She favored the right side.
She likes men.
You know what? Miss Betty does like the men. You want to know what it is?
Strong men.
She likes strong men. Miss Betty likes strong men, but she also likes the ladies. If you would have, girl, you need to shout.
Ladies.
Beautiful ladies, but you are a beautiful lady.
So,
you are a beautiful lady, and Miss Betty. You know what? I'm gonna call up Miss Betty, and I want to make sure that you and Miss Betty. I'm gonna make a play date. I'm gonna make a play date for you and Miss Betty.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, you and Miss Betty are gonna go out, and you guys are gonna hit the town. I don't know if you can keep up.
All
right, because Miss Betty drops it.
I'll try.
Goodness. I don't know if you're ready.
Miss Betty and I will try to do a little salsa action.
Really?
Oh, okay.
You better watch out.
I can go dun 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 dun.
Miss Betty don't really know what that is, but she still drop. You know what I mean? She'll drop it no matter. Yeah, she'll drop it no matter what.
Well, thank you all so much for taking the time to talk with us here at Nuevotec Productions.
Thank you for taking interest in this production, and thank you for taking interest in us. And
thank you.
It's an honor to share what we do with whoever is willing to take some time to look into it.
All right, you heard it here first here on Nuevotec Productions. This is Erica signing off.